So I got the Burco Snowblower on this Boland's HT20 that I put diesel in, and I got up 4 o'clock this morning to go blow the snow off the driveway before I head into work to take care of the snow there. And I got down to the road. I've got about 400 feet of driveway. Got down to the road and it stopped blowing. So normally you think, oh, shear pin, something like that. Well, see this shaft here going into the gearbox for the first stage, not turning. So it looks like something sheared off. I don't know if, I guess it's probably got a worm gear in the top here. Either that's shot or stripped out. I don't know if there's a coupling or something in there, but I'm gonna take it apart and see what we got. Okay, so I got these flange mounted bearings that hold this first stage of the auger unbolted, and then I'm removing the 2 bolts that hold the gearbox to this support bracket in the middle. Here's I think I sheared the shaft off. Holy hell. I think that's what happened. I think I sheared the shaft off. Damn. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Look at that. I can't believe that. Well, I'm going to finish taking this gearbox apart and see what I can do about fixing this. So I got the rest of the gearbox apart. I had a pain, I was fighting rust on the shaft. But I got it all cleaned up. There's the spur gear. And here's the worm gear. I threw this in the lathe and I put a bevel on it. I'm going to weld this broken shaft back together. This new gearbox is $330 plus shipping, and I only paid $250 for the blower. So I'll give this a shot first. And that gearbox was a pain to split, so they just use an RTV to seal it up. That's not a normal gasket on it. So I'm going to get the other half of this shaft out of the blower, and then try to put a bevel on that side also, and then weld this back together. So I got the second shaft out of the blower. You can see where it actually steps down, and it broke right where there's a change in diameters. So a new gearbox is, like I said, $330. So I'm gonna attempt to weld this back together first. So I got it clamped down this piece of angle iron to try to keep it true, because I've only got a mini lathe, so it doesn't really fit in there. But And then I spaced it up a little bit so that it's centered. So I'm going to attempt to weld this back together, and hopefully this will keep it true. So I got the shaft welded back together, the worm gear and bearings on, cleaned up the housing a little bit. That just gets RTV on it. So I'll slap that back together and hopefully it holds up for a while. You can see the two halves together. Well, here you can see the worm gear and the spur gear. Little RTV on the housing. Getting ready to slide down the other half of the housing, and then I can bolt it together. Now that I got the gearbox halves back together, I'm going to grease these shafts so I don't get any rust buildup again, hopefully. Because these augers, all they ride on is two little plastic bushings on the end here. So this whole shaft down the middle gets rusty. Okay, I got the second stage on. New shear bolt. This is a regular bolt that holds this to this shaft, and then when you do hit something, it just breaks this little 1/4 inch shear bolt. This slides through another bearing, and then to that reduction gearbox I put on with a long keyway. Here's the little plastic bushings that the auger ride on. Shaft is well greased, so if I ever have to take this apart again, it should pretty much just fall apart for me. Alright, so I'm going to slide this into the housing now, and I guess first I got to put the augers on. So on these flange mounted bearings with the inner and outer seals, you could just stick a pick in there, pop them out, and add a little extra grease, and well, clean out the old crap first and then put some grease in them. So, and then you just pop them back in. Help extend the life of your bearings a little bit if you got it apart already. Quick and easy. All ready to stick the auger back in the housing. See if I can get this in here. Send it. There we go. So I'm guessing the major reason for that shaft failure is because this bolt here was not the shear bolt. It was just a regular bolt. Oh, I put a stainless bolt in it, I guess, at one point. I guess I was in a pinch and needed a bolt. I didn't have any shear pins, so that's what I ended up using, and it cost me that shaft. I'll give you guys another shot of the gearbox I put in this when I built the Snowblower. Hub City 2-to-1 reducing gearbox, and also reverses rotation. The upper bore here matches the shaft for the input to the other gearbox, and then I just have a yoke to mate it up to the drive shaft to the front of this tractor. So, but this thing's been phenomenal, and if you look in some of my other videos, you can see this is a window motor that runs the chute rotation and then electric actuator for the deflector. So I also have, like I said, I have another video.